Level 1. The Academy Cadet. You are 22, standing in a uniform that does not feel like yours yet, with boots that cost you a few $100s, a duty belt that feels 20 pounds heavier than it should, and a recruit instructor screaming because your report has 3 spelling mistakes. You thought policing started with sirens and courage. It starts with getting corrected in front of 30 other cadets because you wrote the date wrong and forgot a line in the chain of command. Some academies pay you while you train. Some do not, and the bill can run roughly $5,000 to $12,000. Either way, this is the first shock. The job that movies turn into chaos is built on tiny details, legal wording, radio procedure, defensive tactics, firearms qualification, and a lot of running when you are tired. You learn fast that the badge is not the hard part. The paperwork behind the badge is. You also learn the first brutal truth. You can be physically strong, good in a fight, and still wash out because you cannot write clearly, testify cleanly, or keep your mouth shut when a staff instructor is baiting you. The people who survive are not always the toughest. They are the most coachable. By graduation, you have a basic state peace officer certification in many places, a few bruises, and a very dangerous amount of confidence. Then they pin the badge on, assign you to a field training officer, and you discover you know almost nothing. Level 2. The probationary patrol officer. It is 2:17 in the morning. You are in the passenger seat of a patrol car that smells like coffee, vinyl, and stress. Your field training officer pulls up to a domestic violence call, kills the lights, and looks at you like this is a final exam. You thought your first year would be about catching criminals. It is mostly about not making a bad situation worse. In many departments, this probationary phase lasts about a year to 18 months. In some big agencies, Officer 1 automatically becomes Officer 2 after that probation if you do not fail. Your starting pay might be around $45,000 to $68,000, depending on the city, state, and contract. It sounds decent until you realize nights, weekends, court, dry cleaning, and missed holidays are now normal. This level is where your ego gets sanded down. You learn how often police work is not action, but judgment. One bad arrest, one sloppy search, one careless statement on body camera, and the problem follows you into internal review, court, or a civil lawsuit. The most common rookie mistake is thinking command voice solves everything. Sometimes the right move is talking slower, backing up, calling a supervisor, or just listening to the person who is clearly having the worst day of their life. You write reports until your hand cramps. You clear fender benders, theft calls, noise complaints, shoplifting, welfare checks, and overdoses. You get yelled at by victims, suspects, and occasionally your own sergeant. Then one night, a veteran tells you, not kindly, that people do not care how brave you feel if your report gets the case rejected. That stings. It also makes you better. Once you can handle a beat without your training officer rescuing you, the next door opens. Now you have to become useful without supervision. Level 3. The real street officer. You are 3 years in. The radio is no longer a blur of codes and panic. You know which apartment complexes generate trouble after midnight, which convenience store owner will hand you bad surveillance footage on a scratched flash drive, and which corners look quiet right before they are not. Your gear is the same basic setup, pistol, radio, handcuffs, flashlight, body armor, less lethal option, maybe a patrol rifle in the car. But the real tool you have now is pattern recognition. This is the level outsiders never see. You are no longer brand new, but you are still taking calls, still working holidays, still proving yourself. You believe if you just stay sharp and back your partners, everything will be manageable. Then you learn the hard way that cumulative stress is its own injury. The crashes, the child abuse call, the suicide, the partner who freezes, the complaint from someone who swears you ruined their life, all of it stacks. A good department starts talking to you here about wellness, peer support, maybe counseling after critical incidents. A bad department tells you to toughen up and jokes about therapy until somebody drinks too much, burns out, or gets divorced. That is another quiet ladder inside this career. The officers who last are usually not the ones who feel nothing. They are the ones who admit the job leaves marks. This is also where small status starts to matter. You finish extra in service training, you earn intermediate certification in states that use those tiers. Maybe your contract gives you a bump for education or specialty skills. Some departments reimburse college classes, and suddenly that bachelor's degree you ignored starts looking like a promotion ticket. Then you watch the interesting people in the department. The detective with the stack of warrants, the canine handler, the tactical team guy, the community officer who can calm a whole block with one conversation. You realize patrol is the foundation, not the final form. Level 4, the specialist. The phone call comes after years of patrol. You got selected for a specialty, maybe detective bureau, maybe canine, maybe traffic homicide, maybe tactical response, maybe crisis intervention with mental health calls. This is the first time the department tells you, in effect, you are trusted with something narrower and harder. If you go detective, the glamour disappears quickly, your desk has old coffee stains, your caseload is ugly, and your reward for solving one case is 3 more. You trade some patrol adrenaline for interviews, surveillance, search warrants, evidence logs, and the slow grind of building a case that survives court. National pay data puts detectives around the upper patrol range in many places, often roughly the high 60s to upper 70s or more, but the real currency here is credibility. If you go tactical or canine, you add training costs and time. Extra courses can run $1,000 to $3,000 in some cases, though departments often cover them. The price is not just money. It is missed dinners, bruised ribs, range days, recertifications, and the knowledge that if your specialty goes wrong, it goes wrong very publicly. This level teaches you that being good at police work and being good at one slice of police work are different things. In patrol, you can bluff your way through a weeknight. In investigations or special operations, your peers know immediately if you are out of your depth. The rivalry gets sharper. The standards do too. After enough years, one question starts following you. Do you want to stay the best worker in the room, or do you want to be responsible for the room? Level 5, the sergeant. You are now studying promotional exam material at your kitchen table while everybody else sleeps. Policy manuals, state law, leadership questions, oral boards, scenario answers. This is where a lot of officers discover they liked having opinions more than they like having responsibility. Sergeant is usually the first real supervisory rank, often after several years on the job and a competitive exam. In many departments, the salary lands somewhere around $70,000 to $90,000, give or take a lot by region. It sounds like a promotion into authority. It is actually a promotion into accountability. Now, the midnight call goes bad, and your name is in the review because you signed off on the scene, the arrest, the force report, or the pursuit decision. You are checking younger officers' reports, correcting body camera issues, approving overtime, handling citizen complaints, and showing up when 2 officers are one bad sentence away from turning a stop into a disaster. You are not the hero anymore. You are the brake pedal. This is also where the job gets lonelier. Patrol officers complain that command does not understand the street. Command complains sergeants are not enforcing standards. You stand in the middle, eating criticism from both directions. The good sergeants learn to coach in private, protect in public, and crush laziness before it becomes misconduct. The bad ones hide in the office and hope the shift survives till sunrise. If you can lead a squad, keep discipline without becoming a tyrant, and still remember what the street feels like, the department starts seeing you as management material. Level 6, the lieutenant. You are no longer chasing most of the calls. You are holding briefings, reviewing deployment maps, balancing leave requests, and getting called when something serious is still unfolding but already becoming political. In many agencies, lieutenant is the rank where education starts to matter more. A bachelor's degree can suddenly move from optional to practically required, and command school or leadership academy starts showing up on your file. Pay often moves into roughly $90,000 to $105,000 in many departments. Though big city contracts can go higher, the money is better. So is the inbox, unfortunately. At this level, you command a watch or a unit. You are reading use of force summaries, collision reviews, budget requests, training compliance numbers, and complaint patterns. You start seeing the department as a system instead of a shift. One officer's burnout becomes a staffing issue. One bad arrest becomes a legal issue. One community meeting becomes a trust issue that follows the whole agency for months. The hard lesson here is that policing above the street is part operations and part optics. You may know exactly why your officers did what they did, and still have to explain it to city attorneys, elected officials, neighborhood groups, and a chief who is counting headlines before sunrise. The words matter even more now. If you can manage people, liability, and politics without freezing up, there is one more jump. It is less about law enforcement and more about running an institution. Level 7, the captain. You are walking through a division office with budget spreadsheets in one hand and a phone vibrating with a media request in the other. Patrol, investigations, traffic, training, special operations, somebody has to own the staffing holes. Vehicle replacement schedule, overtime spike, and disciplinary mess. Now it is you. Captain is where many careers quietly top out. Salaries often land around $100,000 to $130,000, sometimes more in large metropolitan departments. On paper, this looks like success. In practice, you spend your day deciding which problem gets resources and which one gets an apology. You supervise lieutenants, not rookies. You shape policy, sign off on plans, defend your people when they deserve it, and remove them when they do not. Community meetings feel different now. Residents are not asking why one officer gave a ticket. They are asking why burglaries are up, why response times are slow, why trust is down, why your department should get more money at all. This level strips away any fantasy that rank automatically means control. You can have a 6-figure salary, a command badge, and still lose sleep because one critical incident, one lawsuit, or one viral clip can rewrite the next 5 years of your career. the department starts to look less like a brotherhood and more like a city organism, full of budgets, egos, unions, politics, and public memory. If you can survive that pressure and still make sane decisions, you are in the pool for the final level. Very few make it. Level 8, the chief. You started with a pair of stiff boots and a report full of mistakes. Now you are at the head of the table, responsible for a department's policy, hiring, discipline, training culture, public trust, and millions of dollars in budget. In many agencies, the chief earns roughly $145,000 to $200,000 or more, depending on the city. That sounds like the summit. It is also the level where every failure in the building has a way of climbing uphill into your office. You are no longer measured by arrests or response times alone. You are measured by retention, lawsuits, morale, reform, crime trends, council meetings, media pressure, and whether the community believes your department is legitimate. Some chiefs come up through the ranks, some are hired from outside specifically because the city wants change. Either way, the chair is hot. You spend more time in meetings than on scenes. You speak to the press, present to elected officials, negotiate budgets, push for technology, defend training, and decide whether a command staff member stays or goes. You may attend executive courses, command college, even the Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Academy type of credential path if your career lined up for it. At this level, the badge is almost secondary. Your real weapon is judgment under scrutiny. And here is the final truth of the ladder. The endgame is not action, it is consequences. The young version of you wanted to be feared, respected, maybe a little legendary. The older version wants a department that writes better reports, uses better judgment, treats people better, and goes home safer than the one you entered. Final beat. The weight of the badge. If you stay long enough, the object that hooked you changes meaning. At level 1, the badge was shine, identity, proof. By the final level, it is weight. It carries every missed birthday, every night shift meal eaten out of a wrapper, every scene you wish you could forget, every officer you trained, every complaint you answered, every split-second decision that looked simple only to people watching later. That is the hidden ladder of a police officer. You do not climb from rookie to chief by becoming harder. You climb by becoming more precise, more useful, more controlled, and if you are lucky, more honest about what the job does to you. The people at the top are not the ones who love the lights the most. They are usually the ones who learned, somewhere in the middle of the night, that the real skill was carrying authority without letting it carry you away.